Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Ben's Den. It is December 21st, and I'm a little tardy on putting this video out because I recorded last night and didn't get the audio. Microphone was on mute, so good dry run. Gonna do it again in the spirit of practice. Here we go. So today, going to be covering week 2, the Saturday duels and tournaments and quads and all that good stuff. So let's start it out with Timberlane down at the Beast of the East. Looks like they had a tough go down there, 10 team points, no placers. Um, yeah, listen, not surprising. Beast of the East is a really tough tournament, and Coach Donovan keeping the tradition alive, bringing the Timberlane team down there. And so good repetitions, good exercise, good goes for the Timberlane team that they can bring back to New Hampshire and use that experience for the tough tournaments that lie ahead in January, February. All right. Back to the in-state, or back to New England. Big Red tournament hosted by Tyngsborough. Pelham Pythons were there. They finished 6 out of 15 teams. They had 90 points. They're led by second place finishes from Michael Harrington at 145 and Russell Leonard at 220. Third place finishes from Nathan Maslanik at 132 and Billy Nichols at 160. And rounded out with a fourth place finish from Liz Donovan at 113. Overall, significant increase of last year's performance, where they placed 10th with 54 points. So they nearly doubled their points. And they're back in action on Wednesday when they host John Stark in Newport. So that's how Pelham did this weekend. Coach Riddle, he's happy, or excuse me, Rittinger, excuse me. I got to speak with him when I officiated over at Pelham, and he's got a young team, and he's looking forward to good things with them. So keep up the good work out there. We got Concord. They were supposed to host a super quad. Masterpiece Maine and Kingswood pulled out due to the weather. So Concord smartly adjusted, became dynamic, and created a tri-meet with Winnisquam and Exeter. In addition to those matches, they had over 150 JV matches with JVs from Concord, Winnisquam, Exeter, Bow, Keene, Salem, and Goffstown. So amazing job up there by Concord. One of the better programs here in the state. The architecture set up, the coaching staff is committed, and that's what you get when you have that. You get great adjustments when needed, and you create great opportunities for the wrestlers here in New Hampshire. So good job, Concord. And they had a pretty good day. They beat up on some of the teams. So Concord beat Exeter 46-24 and Winnisquam 60-3. Again, Concord D1 program taking on some of the smaller programs. They should have that kind of success, and so they're right where they should be right now. And I know Coach Manel's doing some great work up there, getting them ready for January and postseason push. So we'll move along to Salem, who is down in North Providence, Rhode Island, at the Invitational down there. They placed second out of the 20 teams that attended. They were behind St. John's Prep at 247 points, and Salem number 2 with 185. That seems like a big gap, but if you know St. John's Prep, it's not. Really talented team, bunch of New England favorites, if you will. So, again, Salem going out of state. Coach Eddie always trying to put his team in a position to be challenged, get the snot kicked out of them. And, again, much like we were talking about with Timberlane and Pelham going out of state, getting these kids some new looks, some new opponents. And, for some of these kids, future matchups down there at the New England. So second place for Salem, individual place winners. You had Brody McDonald and David Jacques, 120 and 182 respectively. They were champions. Second place, Braden Fleming, and third place, Evan Lynch, and that is 152 and 113 respectively. Couple of fourth place finishes, Caleb O'Rourke, sophomore, and Tyler Pavitas, junior, at 285. Again, putting people on the podium. That's what Coach Eddie's looking to do. And ultimate goals, right? He doesn't look to win the little things. He's looking to challenge his team and win the big things. And so great job bringing your team down to Rhode Island. And, Rhode Island's a tough state to wrestle in. I'm sure there were some other tough teams. You had, obviously St. John Prep. They're out of Mass, and they took it down. So, some individual highlights that Coach Eddie provided. And again, I love how he supplies the information. But at 106, Maddox Boudreaux placed in a high school tournament for his first time. Again, sixth place finish, and down in that Rhode Island tournament, that's pretty good. 120, Brody McDonald. He defeated two more state place winners, both from Rhode Island, and he's undefeated on the season. So good job, Brody McDonald. And then 195, David Jacquez, as we mentioned, was a champion for the day. He went 4-0 on the day with 4 pins. So not a bad day at the office, Mr. Jacquez. So Salem, next event for them, closing out the pre-Christmas wrestling season, is a duel at Wyndham High School, 6 o'clock. So that's tonight. So if you're in the area and you want to see some good wrestling, good chance to check out Salem if you're not used to them. See what they're bringing this year besides a full lineup and a lot of tough kids. All right, let me move on to the Hollis Nor'easter. So I actually officiated at this tournament, so I got some insight on some things that I saw. I also got a lot of great feedback from some of the coaches over there. And for all things considered, it was a long day. There was some problems that we ran into. There were some technical issues. Flo had some problems, I guess. A couple of brackets had to get redone. 5 teams didn't show up, so there was a smaller number. We ran into some 45-minute rest time issues, and overall they do the best that they can. Coach Bumpus, not committed at all. He's out there having a newborn baby, trying to build his family. And so he wasn't there on Sunday. Side note, congratulations, Coach Bumpus. It's good to see you building the roster. But they did a great job. The Hollis people are always very cordial, very nice, and they run an excellent tournament. And so these things happen. We just got to do our best to try to minimize it here in the state and try to curtail some of these longer days. So things that stood out to me. Finals matches specifically. So at 100 and I'm going to go backwards. So I'm going to start at 285. So Jason Canavan versus Colby Vancelette out of Nashville South. I've mentioned Canavan a few times, and I mentioned Vancelette as well. And I think those two young men, they're going to be banging heads for a bunch of the season. Throw in Malachi Cologne out there from Timberlane, and that may be some version of your top 3 here in New Hampshire when all the dust settles. But they had a great match, and I always love to watch Jason Canavan wrestle, because you rarely see a heavyweight throwing double legs in, and that's exactly what he was doing. He's getting in some scrambles and ending up on top. Excuse me, and throwing in double legs. And Colby Vancelette does a great job. He stays very calm, works his defense, and he got Jason in a few different positions that, I don't know, I don't think it served him, and ends up with a reversal, and unfortunately not just a reversal, but to some back points as well, and I think the eventual pin. But it was a really tough match, and I know Jason's going to go back and get in that room and work real hard. He's very committed, very focused, and hopefully we'll see Keen down at Lowell here in a week or so, and I think he'll make some noise, and I'm excited to see Vancelette. He just keeps getting better every year, this being his senior year. I'm going to keep my eye on that young man and see what he can get done. Moving down to 160, you got Colby Shepard from Stevens. Anybody know where Stevens is? Most people don't. You know why? Because he's an independent. The only kid on his team. Co-opt. So anywho, Colby Shepard from Stevens, he took first place, and actually early in the week at a dual meet with Plymouth, he beat Cleary. And so good litmus test here early in the season, and keep an eye on that young man. He's a Division III kid. He's an independent, kind of flies under the radar, but I think you're gonna see him try to climb those ranks at 160 as that MOC comes around. And so I'm looking forward to watching his journey this year. So 126, a really good match. Adler Moore from Bow versus Caden Bruseo, Hollis Brookline. Two up-and-comers. I believe Caden's a sophomore this year, and Adler's a junior. And I got to be honest, the COVID thing, it threw me all off. I don't know who's who sometimes. But they had a great match. Two tough kids, very fast. Both have great technical skills. The difference here, errors. Mora went in, couple of errors that cost them, 4-point, 5-point swing kind of thing. And when you're wrestling a kid like Caden Bruseo, you can't give those points away. And so I know Adler's probably got some bad taste in his mouth about that match, but a good litmus test for him. He's a Division III wrestler. Some of the matches that he's having, it's important for him to come across some challenges and for him to see what else is in the state. That's a young man whose goals don't include just the Division III state championship. He's looking to, win MOC and get down into New England and make some noise down there. And I know Caden Bruseo, exact same mission in life. And so it was a great finals match. Bruseo comes out on top. And I think it's one that we're going to see again down there in the postseason. So congratulations to both of them for making the finals, Bruseo for taking the win. Then I think match of the day for me was at 182 pounds, Chris Robbins, Conval versus Anthony Fernandez, Nashua South. Rumor has it Chris Robbins was a little ill that day and, spent most of the day sleeping in the small gym. And I say that only because he did look a little out of sorts in the sense that his cardio looked a little off. And if you know Chris Robbins, cardio has never been an issue for him. So I'll be interested to see, if that was just a one-time thing or, if there's a pattern. It won't be a pattern. However, him and Fernandez went back and forth a bit, and Anthony does what Anthony does. He is tough on top, and he had the legs in, and he was putting it on Chris for a little while, and he ends up taking the victory here at 182 pounds at the Nor'easter. And that's a match we're going to see again. Anthony's going to get more and more comfortable in the body that he has this year. Again, if you weren't aware, he put on about 50 pounds. He was 132 last year, and he's up at 182 this year. He looks good. He put on good weight, and it takes some time to adjust to that. And so we're in December, and I'm looking forward to seeing how Anthony fares down at Lowell as well. That's a good challenge for him to get down there and wrestle some tough kids at that big weight class. But congratulations to him. Takes down the tournament for the day. And, again, been watching that young man for a long time and very much looking forward to seeing what his senior year entails. Excuse me. All right. So that's my feedback. A couple other things that I wanted to talk about, or a couple other wrestlers was, and just to say, keep an eye on these kids. They're going to be doing some stuff. So freshman Blake Ploss at 126 from Newport, and sophomore Logan Allaire at 152 from Campbell. Logan likes to pick things up and put them down. And Slick, getting bigger and stronger as he grows into, 15, 16 years old. And, Blake Ploss, 126, quick, smart, moving around. It's going to make some noise as well. So keep your eyes on them. I'm going to move over to Lebanon's finish, where it was an 8th as a team at the Nor'easter. And, in a tournament that's dominated by D1 and D2 teams for a second-year program, Lebanon, coming down and placing 8th. For them, it's probably the biggest tournament of the season, right? And Coach Chauncey Wood doing a great job out there, building his staff, building his wrestling numbers. And, the results were Sawyer Bolio took a 4th, Drew Sanchez 3rd, Dustin Jarvis 5th, John Islander 5th, Chris Kenne 5th. Not a champion in sight, right? But you got to set the right goals. And as Coach Wood is building that program, that's good goals, getting wins, starting to get on the podium. Excuse me. And, one of the highlights for Lebanon was Drew Sanchez, who again took 3rd at 152 pounds. He was 4-1 on the day. The lone loss to a Hollis kid, and he avenged that loss in the Conci finals. A tech of 3 falls on the day. That's not a bad day at the office, especially considering last year Drew was 8-18. And he really struggled, according to Coach Wood. And so he worked hard in the offseason, went to Assassins Wrestling Camp here in New Hampshire, out to Castleton, I believe in Vermont, BGS Brawls, and, even local at his Upper Valley Wrestling Club. And he's 9-2 on the season. And so that's a big swing around for that young man, and further proof to the adage that if you put the work in, the results will come. So Coach Chauncey Wood, quote of the tournament, very proud of this team. And so I love to hear that. And again, Coach Wood, thank you for the information. Let's talk about who won the tournament, and then I can give you their highlights, and that is Keene. So Keene did an amazing job, and they ended up winning the team title there at the Nor'easter. And the thing was that I mentioned some technical difficulties, and with that came the mystery of who actually won the tournament when we left. And so survey says that Keene won the tournament, and they won that tournament. Excuse me, let me get that out of the way. Excuse me, my computer's going cray cray. All right, so I love how Coach Runes, and I love what he's doing up there, but I like how he sends me the highlights, and he says, the final medal count. And the medal count was, we had 1 gold with Silas Runes, and I was able to officiate a few of that young man's matches this on Sunday, and I like what I see. He's tall, long, lanky, but strong, tough, doesn't quit, goes the whole 3 periods. I find him to be cerebral. Like I don't want to say I see him thinking out there, but I make up that he's very much in the match of thinking about where he's going next and that kind of thing. So he's a joy to watch. Keep an eye on him. I think he's going to make a lot of noise through the season and again, moving into that February push. I mentioned Jason Canavan earlier. He took a silver, second place finish, losing to Vance Left from Nashville South. And then other silver places were Evan Ray, Jack Hebert, Alex Waters, Carter Trubiano, Lily Runes, and then a couple of bronzes in Carter Spencer and Peyton Gowell. And, Coach Runes's quote of the day, amazing performance by the whole team. And keyword there is team. That's the one thing I've experienced from Keene this year is them really coming together as a team and the unit looking nice and strong. And so keep up the good work out there, both wrestlers and coaches, and looking forward to seeing what Keene's going to be kicking down the street over the next couple of months. All right. So that was the Hollis Brookline Nor'easter. Last one I shall cover for this particular week will be Londonderry. And I want to thank Mark Williams for sending me the links to the results. We had some struggles trying to find that. And it's much appreciated because that's some good information. I also want to thank Charlie Turner, who is a wrestler out there in Portsmouth, who sent me his thoughts and some highlights from his day, not just his performance, but he big up some other wrestlers. And I love that. We can compete hard together and we can respect each other. So speaking of Portsmouth, so Carter Kuhn made it to the semis and the finals last week. So semis this week and the finals the week before. And the kid's been wrestling for 4 weeks. So doing something out there that's working. If after 4 weeks you're getting on the podium, that's a good start. And AJ Nilly from Portsmouth also placed 4th as a freshman. Blah, blah, blah. This is me recording in the morning. I mentioned Charlie Turner. He sent along some information, but he also had a hell of a day himself. So he's a 220-pound. He was ranked number 1 in the bracket. Ran through pretty much his first 3 opponents in the finals and had to go to overtime to beat a very good Manchester Memorial Patrick Vachon. And so sudden victory out there. And, Charlie's words, he's a dog and he wrestled with a lot of heart and stamina and made it really hard for me to win. And so, I love to see those tough matches. I like to see a kid acknowledge those tough matches. And he also took note of heavyweight Hayden Robinson out there at Raymond. And Hayden, I got to see earlier in the season. He's looking really good. And he pinned the Portsmouth heavyweight in 6 seconds and, a bit of a beast. He ran into a New Fairfield, Connecticut kid who was really good and ended up losing to him. But that is it's a big win or a big man to look out for this season. Raymond is coming on strong. Coach Robinson's doing some great work out there, getting his numbers up. The girls' participation out there is extraordinary. And so I think Hayden Robinson is quickly becoming one of the leaders of that team. And he definitely is leading by example on the mat. And so great job out there. And then obviously, host team Londonderry, how did they do? Did they do okay? Well, heck yeah, they did okay. The big winners for them were all champions Nicholas D'Alessandro, 132 pounds, Michael Palmer, 145, David Pinto Jr., keep your eye on that kid, 152 pounds, and then Patrick O'Connor, 170 pounds. Was that 5 champions on the day at the home tournament? It's not a bad day. Londonderry has always done a great job of hosting their tournaments. They host their high school tournament, and the very next day they do the Memorial PJ Sword tournament, and that's another excellent tournament that they run for the youth. And so it's good to see them having some success at their home tournament, and looking forward to getting my eyes on some of those kids in real time here over the next couple of weeks, specifically Lowell. And sorry, I got the sun coming in right now, trying to light me up. If I lean forward too much, if I lean back too much. But anyway, speaking of Lowell, it's next Tuesday, Wednesday, 27th and the 28th. Yours truly will be down there enjoying my Christmas present to myself. That's my Christmas present to myself every year, is 2 days at Lowell to be able to not only cover New Hampshire wrestlers, but also just kick back and enjoy some of the best wrestling in New England. It's a mini preview of New England's and things to come in that time frame. And so Santa brought me Lowell this year, and I'm gonna go enjoy it. And so that's sunlight, crazy. Well, on that note and those eyes, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna go to work, and I hope everybody out there has an amazing day. And I'm very much looking forward to this week's or tonight's dual meets, closing out the pre-Christmas portion of our season, and then right to Lowell for a lot of the New Hampshire teams. And there's other tournaments or other places we'll go. Feel free to send me results, information, coaches. That would be great. Still missing a bunch of you. And like I said, I'll be at Lowell doing some coverage down there. So expect my Instagram, my YouTube, Facebook accounts, expect them to be busy over the next week or so with those type of updates. And then we move into January. And that January push, kids are getting down to the weights that matter for them and the ones they're going to start to compete at in the postseason. And before you know it, it's going to be the postseason. And so for those who don't know, Londonderry will be hosting, not Londonderry, Bedford. Bedford will be hosting the Meet of Champions this year. And, I had a chance to talk to Coach Heating, check out the episode, but I also talked to him off the record, and, they got some good plans, and they're looking to do things to really highlight what these young men and women are doing and the sacrifice that they put in to get to the point, which is the pinnacle of our state wrestling, which is the Meet of Champions. And with that being said, I'll see you on the mats.